this is a story that it went viral. I mean, everybody. I don't even know how to frame it up other than it going viral. Right.
Yeah.
So I have Jennifer and Harrison in with us, and Strauss in studio with us. And Strauss, Jennifer, what type of dog is Strauss?
She's a German Shorthair Pointer.
Okay.
But so what she does for her bloodline is she's a bird dog.
Yeah.
So she's a hunting dog, and that's what she does for what she's bred for.
Right.
So like in the cartoons, you see them like point.
Yeah. Go that way. So obviously a beloved family pet.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
She's one of the family members for sure.
Yeah.
You had to travel to go whenever you got her.
Yes. So I have another dog from the same girl that I got Strauss from. So I knew her, and she lives in Idaho. And she had posted a picture of Strauss, and she was already a year old at the time. And at the time, I wasn't looking for another one, but for some reason, she just stuck out to me when I saw her. And I messaged her, and I'm like, look, I'm interested in her. I don't really know why. Just, she pulled at my heartstrings. And so we, made it happen. I flew all the way across the country and back in a 24-hour time span. It was in the middle of COVID, which was very difficult, because they weren't flying animal cargo at the time. So I had to find an airline that would do it. And we came back, and we have been attached at the heart, soul, and hip ever since.
Yeah. So
you said she's about to turn 5, so you've had her for 4 years.
Correct. Yeah, her birthday is February 2nd.
Good. She's
snoozing right now.
Yeah, she's a beautiful dog.
Yes, she is.
I mean, we have a dog, and they are family. I mean, you absolutely care for them like a child. And
my kids tell me that they think that I have a big dog and a little dog. They're like, you like the little one more than me, don't you? I'm like, sometimes.
Most of the time. They don't talk about
That's what the
much.
husband tells me.
Oh, yeah.
I wish I could get half the affection.
So I'm guessing that normal day in the life of your family, and then you noticed that Strauss was missing. How did that?
So it was New Year's Eve,
Okay.
and we were cooking our New Year's Eve dinner. So greens, and the kids were all cutting them up at the counter, loving every second of that. And she always gets a piece, especially if it's a holiday. Like Thanksgiving, she got turkey.
Oh, yeah.
Christmas, she got ham. And so we were all sitting down to eat our greens. It was about 7 o'clock. And I'm like, we have to give Strauss some of hers. And we noticed that she hadn't come back inside yet. But she was just out in the yard playing with the kids around 6. And so we went out and was yelling for her. And it's not like her not to come back. But we do live on a pretty significantly large piece of property, so she does kind of roam around, but never, close to the road. We live way off the road. So that wasn't even a thought in her mind. And then especially when it got dark, like she is, like I said, a child, afraid of the dark, afraid of the rain, afraid of the cold, like she's going to be begging at the door.
Yeah.
And so that's when we realized around 8, 9 o'clock that something was wrong, and she wasn't coming back. And we all started to panic. And so we went everywhere in every car, golf cart, by foot, looking for her over the whole property. And then, of course, when it got bedtime, I knew she's not here.
Yeah.
And she's not coming back.
So the first thing I would think in that case is, did a coyote get her? Did something, like that happen? That would have been my first.
And it was ours as well,
Yeah.
because we live there with all the woods and the tree farms behind us and stuff like that. But, we looked and we walked and we yelled, and we knew if she could hear us, she would come.
Right.
So we thought maybe she's hurt, maybe somebody set a trap and she's stuck in it. We got to go find her. And so that's what we sent the drone up for. And that was complete another just work of the community came together and let this guy know about us. His name is Chad Latham. He works a lot for law enforcement. He's known around the community. Great guy.
Yeah.
And he contacted us and said, I want to come help. And he brought this thermal sensor drone.
Wow.
And this was about probably 2 or 3 days in. And he sent it all over the property. And
I know you were an absolute wreck the whole time.
Oh, it was terrible, because he said, if she is anywhere on this property, dead or alive, I will find her.
Yeah.
Because of the logistics that
Right.
go into everything. But anyway, and she wasn't there. I mean, and it was 300 plus acres. So
Wow.
So you by the time that you noticed she was missing in the thermal drone, I mean, you had made social media posts about her being missing.
Did it surprise you how many shares?
Absolutely. I didn't even share it to my personal page initially because I started with just the local animal pages, the lost and found pages, and then I finally was like, well, you know what? If I'm going to get it out there for other people to really be looking, like my neighbors and stuff, I need to put it on my personal, and so I did. And then within a day, it was, she was being seen all over the country.
Yeah.
So I had no idea that it would go to the extent that it did.
I want to talk about that for 1 second too, because I think you found out that there are a lot of scams on social media.
Absolutely.
How many times?
But I think, but backtracking a little bit, I think that, because it caught my eye. Me and him were even talking about it whenever you first posted about that. I could feel your heart. And I think a lot of people, especially people that have animals, could. And so I think that's why you went absolutely viral, because I could feel, panic, relentless, absolutely heartbroken. And then I look at that little sweet face over there.
Oh yeah.
When you started getting the, I saw it. I can still see the pictures in my mind now of the same type of animal in a cage somewhere.
Right. Well,
Same
the morning I saw
collar and everything.
everything. The morning I saw it, I was convinced it was her.
Yeah.
So much so that my hands, and Harrison can tell you, I couldn't even use my phone. I was shaking uncontrollably. I'm like, this is her, this is her. And so my husband's on the phone with some buddies, and we're trying to track it down. And then he finally comes to me and he says, babe, that's not Strauss. And I'm like, how? It is. It's got her same markings. It's the same collar. It's everything. And so we zoomed in on her face, the one in the cage, and it was very apparent because Strauss has that white streak over her nose, and that one did not. Then when we started looking more deeply into it, we went to the original post of the person who posted it. They just created that profile that day or the day before. No followers, no likes, no posts. Of course, they wouldn't respond back to any messages. And then I went back and found even more by different posters, and they're usually all in like the yard sale pages or for sale and trade pages is where you'll find them. But the posts that they'll put on there, you can't comment on it or anything like that. So that kind of is a telltale sign it's a scam.
Oh, yeah.
Why?
I know.
Why would somebody put that much effort into trying to deceive somebody for what? It's not like, hey, I'm going to give you some money for this.
Well, so come to find out, I did learn that these posts and these scams are coming from outside of the United States. Is where they are. And apparently, I don't know the logistics of social media and the internet and how it works, but I guess whenever you share one of those posts, it gives the user access to your data, your information or something on Facebook. If you've released that privacy setting, I'm not sure if that's true or not. That's just what I've read on one of the animals.
Like if you make a status public, then,
Right. But I probably received that picture maybe close to 20,000 times.
Oh my God.
And I tried to respond to every single one of them to say, I'm sorry, unfortunately, it's a scam. That's not her. It does look like her.
Copy paste, copy paste.
And and Harrison, he'll tell you too. He was I'm driving, looking, and I'm like, please respond to some of these messages.
Yeah.
And he did, but.
All right, so the thermal drone goes up. We're a couple days in. The social media stuff is going nuts. It's being shared across the country. You're getting the scam posts and all that. The drone goes up, and what?
So that gave us a lot of comfort of knowing where not to focus anymore.
Right.
Because we were staying right there at the house, walking around on the property and things like that. And so that, gave us, well, one, that she wasn't dead.
Right.
Because he said, I'll find her regardless. Because we were thinking the same thing with coyotes.
Yeah.
Or traps of some sort. And so that was able to give us, where to go from here. Let's venture out. Let's do something different. And so after that, we had a family member of a local church that we attend a lot. Their names is Richard and Carol Stout. I do have to give them a personal shout out because if it weren't for them, I probably would not have held it together. But they came out to the house. They recommended us putting flyers up, and they actually went and started putting them. They were hand delivering them to people's houses for fear of people who don't have social media. We put up posters.
I saw them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was heartbreaking
Yeah.
to do it. It was heartbreaking for me to make them. It was heartbreaking for me to put them up because every time I would just see her picture and it say missing, and it ripped my guts out. Just
Yeah.
because, I can't believe I'm having to do this. I was sure I'd have her back by now. And then we did, get some phone calls from people. I can't tell you the amount of sightings we had of a dog in an orange collar. And I went to every single one of them, from Calhoun Falls to Elberton, Georgia, to Belton, Honeypath, everywhere. And we did find some dogs with orange collars on.
They looked nothing alike.
They looked nothing like her, but they had the orange collar on.
Yeah.
We actually found several German short hair pointers that looked like her with an orange collar on, but they weren't her. But I do still appreciate
Yeah.
the people calling and letting me know, because I would go and then I could quickly rule that place out too.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have to wonder, is it her? And, I could put my mind at ease with that. So, yes, and then phone calls after phone calls after phone calls after phone calls. And then on day 8, we had another sighting that Harrison and I had just went to, and we were on our way back. And there was somebody calling me, telling me about her Yorkie, how it went missing 2 years ago, and just
Went on about 20 minutes about it.
talking. I mean, I couldn't get her off the phone. Well, in the meantime, my phone was ringing back to back to back from a phone number, and I'm like, what is this? And then I couldn't get the lady off the phone. I was trying to be nice, and then my husband calls, and then he calls again. I'm like, something's going on. So he called and said, a man just called me and said that he sees her on the side of the road. I said, where? And he said, on 201. And I said, where? And when he told me where it was, I'm like, that's right at the driveway almost. I mean, we could almost throw a rock to where it was. And I'm on my way.
And then he calls a second time, and he's like, get here now, like right now.
Yeah. And so I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know. So we got there. It was raining. I think I slid about 10 feet in the grass trying to get to her. And my husband's walking out with her from right inside the woods. And she's alive, of course, but just barely clinging to life. We were screaming bloody murder. So what had happened, a gentleman was going down the road. He did call. He did see her, but we don't know like all the ins and outs of that. So we are very grateful for that gentleman.
Yeah.
But
time out. All right.
Okay.
I want to rewind just a little bit before you found her. This could have been a very serious, very dangerous situation that somebody tried to scam you again, right?
oh yes, oh yeah, the hoax.
The hoax.
Yeah, so this lady called us again. It was me and Harrison again, just driving out, and she said, I've got my 2 German short hair pointers here, and they're great. They're great trackers, and we're in Entryville, because I did have a whole lot of sightings in the Entryville area. And she said, we're out here just looking around. She had me on the phone for an hour, and at one point, I'm driving back to Entryville. I think we're coming from the Calhoun Falls sighting, and she says, they're onto something. And she's like, oh, and of course she's going on with it for a long time, just keeping me, shooting the breeze type deal. And she goes, I see some orange, like nylon type material. And I was like, well, that can't be her collar. Hers is plastic, almost like a rubbery material. And then she's like, oh, okay. And then she goes, I found a collar here in the mud, but it's all muddy. I can't tell, what color it is. Hang on, let me walk back up to the truck and wash it off. Looking back on those details now, I would have immediately picked up that this was not true. But in the heat of the emotions, I just
You're hanging on to every word.
Yeah, and I hadn't slept in days. So,
Yeah.
Anyway, she says, it's orange. And she said, does it have a tag on it? And I said, yeah. And she said, does it have numbers on it? And I said, yeah, but you can see that details from all the pictures I posted of her.
Right.
And she said, well, it's just her collar, but it's come loose, like it's come off of her. And I said, yes, it's got numbers on it. And she goes, your phone number? And I was like, yes. And she goes, is this the number I'm talking to? Again, I would have detected all those details, And then she calls it out, my phone number. And I'm like, oh, that's it. And then a few minutes goes on, and she goes, oh, wait, my dogs are onto something. And we do hear dogs in the background running around what sounds like in the woods, howling, yelling, So it sounded like she was really in the woods somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she goes, I think they've got her. And then she goes, Jennifer, I think I've got her. And then I hear her what I thought was her whining. And she goes, "Come here, Strauss, come here, Strauss, come here." She had us yelling for her over the speakerphone, which we do. And then I'm like, does she have a patch on the back of her tail? And she goes, "She does, and she's okay." She said she's got a pretty bad cut on her back leg. It looks like she's pretty much set up camp here in the woods, but I think she just needs, a little bit of antibiotics and she'll be okay. She goes, "But she's here." She's like, here, baby. You want to talk to her?" And I hear what sounds like a dog panting in the phone. We're both crying. "Hi, baby, we're coming. And she never could give me an exact location, but a roundabout area. And she kept saying that she was sending her son up the road to find out the exact name of the street, which every time she was talking to this son, quote unquote, we never heard him talk back.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the first clue to me, like, this is weird.
Yeah.
And then she said she heard a pack of coyotes howling in the middle of the daytime.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, I'm like, I'm passing this road. And she goes, that's it. Turn right there. So I did. And all was fine for a minute. She goes, "You'll see my truck. You'll see my Expedition sitting here. It's right here off the road, but we're kind of down in the woods a little bit." And I'm like, okay. Well, anyway, when it turned to gravel road, I was on what was clearly a hunt club. And then it was rainy, and I did not drive a 4-wheel drive vehicle. It was me and him, and then that's when my gut said, this seems like a scary movie going wrong, So we turned around. My instinct did kick in, and I said, "Why don't you just meet me, at the gas station up the road at Crawford's?" And she's like, "Okay, we will." And so, of course, we get up there, and she never shows, and, of course, never answered the phone anymore. And
I don't understand.
What do you think? What do you think the point was?
Well, most people think that probably there was a reward. There was a $2,500 reward for Strauss. And so a lot of people think maybe she was luring us down there to rob us for the reward money, maybe thinking that we had it on hand, and if she found her, obviously we would be handing it over, type deal.
Right.
Which I didn't. Of course, I didn't carry that around with
No.
me. Or, maybe she was just doing it for a mean, cruel prank and, had people there listening and was laughing. I don't know.
That's a situation that could have went terribly wrong.
Could have. Yes, it could have. And we called the law. And we let them know. We gave the phone number to them, and but I had to move on quickly and just say, okay, back to square one. That was a dead end. We had to put emotions aside here. We'll deal with this later.
What a twist, though.
Right.
I mean, what a twist. I mean, it seems like you've got her right in your finger. You're there on the road.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then it's like, I'm being pranked.
Oh yeah, because then your emotions switch to, I'm fixing to hold her. I'm fixing to hold her and kiss her and love her. To now,
I want to strangle this person.
right.
Yeah.
Right. It was a constant emotion.
I call that stabby mode.
roller coaster.
Stuff like that makes me want to go in stabby mode.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure.
All right, so you somehow miraculously avoid disaster, and because in my mind I'm seeing that was going nowhere good fast. So now you get the call that she's on the side of the road, or somebody sees her there, and you rush home, and your husband has her.
Right. He has her.
And this was after what, 8 days?
This was on day 8, and it was about 2:00 in the afternoon, and we didn't, of course, know what was wrong. And we don't know that she was there the whole time. We don't think she was. I feel confident she was not.
The drone would have saw her.
The drone would have saw her. The hundreds of thousands of people who have drove by, those 8 days would have saw her. We would have saw her as much as we walked up and down through there. She wasn't there the whole time.
And where she was a flood zone, and if she was there for 8 days, she would have died of hypothermia,
Right.
or drowned. And her coat was too clean. It was like she just walked outside of
Right.
a shed or a house. She was not there for 8 days.
Yeah.
She was done.
Because it had rain. I mean, it did
It
rain
rained
a lot.
significantly.
So yeah, she would have been muddy.
Right, and she, like he said, had she been there the whole time, she would have drowned if she wasn't able to move, which she wasn't. So we don't know. We can just assume until we get the facts. But we believe that because of the amount of publicity that she was receiving, that
It spooked him.
whoever had her, because that's what we do feel happened, is that she was taken. For what reason, I don't know. I'm just glad that they did let her go and not do something, to hurt her. But
Worse.
right. Right. And so we feel pretty confident that whoever had her, let her loose close enough to the house that she would find her way home, because she was that close. And she's not used to being close to traffic, so she doesn't know how to avoid it, or, she just, plus she was probably, in the condition she was in, severely dehydrated, very depressed, just her hair was falling out by the clumps, and the vet said that was stress related. And so we feel when she was crossing the road from the gravel road we felt she was dumped on, she crossed 201, we feel she was hit on her way home. And then, that's when she was discovered.
Hit by a car.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Bless that baby's heart.
Well, yeah.
So what all,
What a miraculous, just incredible story though. With a happy ending, obviously. So after you get her, obviously it was beeline to the vet, right?
Of course, yeah. We went straight to Upstate Vet in Greenville.
Yeah.
And they had we walked in with holding her, and they all was like, "Is that Strauss?"
Oh.
Because that's how famous I guess she's become. And we were like, yeah. And so they did some x-rays on her. They said she had a broken pelvis and a fractured hip and a fractured tailbone, which they repaired and fixed. And then we were able to bring her home in 2 days after that. And we did ask, is there a way to determine how long ago this injury occurred? Was it, did it occur by a human? Did it occur by a vehicle? Is there any way to determine that? Because what we don't want is, her being abused by her captor.
yeah.
Right.
And so they said, well, we can't say for sure, but had she been hit multiple times by either a foot or a bat or something like that, she would have more bruising and stuff like that. So this type of injury is typical from a blunt force like a vehicle hit. And I said, could you tell how long ago it was? Was it 8 days ago or was it yesterday? And they said we can't really tell that either, honestly. When we get in there and look, we might be able to see where a little bit of the body's tried to start healing itself. That will tell us if it's older or not, but they weren't able to see that. So we're still pretty confident it happened that day, and she was on her way back to the house.
Yeah.
And unfortunately got hit. Now those are all assumptions. Mm-hmm. We don't know those to be fact.
But even if it was a car, how lucky
right
it is just to have, that's, extensive injuries, but she's alive.
Right.
And I know that there's an ongoing investigation still happening, so I'm not going to dig too much into detail, but there is evidence that someone was
right
with her
there.
Right. Well, by the smell of her, it was a very distinct smell of chemicals, and what it smelled like to me was flea and tick preventative is kind of what it could have been something else, I don't know, but it was a very strong chemical odor on her. And then
was she clean?
She was clean overall. She just smelled.
Yeah.
So it was very apparent she was put up somewhere, but where we don't know. Like, was she in a kennel, a cage, a dog box, a horse trailer? Something of those natures. We don't know.
Yeah.
When we got her to the vet, she was having uncontrolled diarrhea, and it smelled exactly like
Horse poop.
Yeah, horse poop, cow poop, like manure. Even the vet was like, this smells like she's been in a cow pasture or like in a horse trailer or in a barn or somewhere. And she didn't have anything to eat, and she was eating the horse poop, the cow poop, and it was very distinct. And so those are facts. Again, we can't assume that we know where she was, because we don't. We did put her collar up, away to be looked at. That's a new collar. That's not the one that she had on then. But we're just kind of hoping that some of the things that we do have in hand that's being ran as far as videos, surveillances, forensics, will come back with some sort of clear and convincing evidence.
I think somebody just thought they were about to scoop up a hunting dog, a bird dog.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But then couldn't do anything with her because the whole world knew who she was.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. And so, for them not hurting her and disposing of her and other means to keep their hands clean, I'm glad they didn't do that.
Yeah.
We're just glad to have her back. But Yeah, it was
Probably would have looked too
weekend.
guilty if they randomly all of a sudden went to buy dog food and.
Right.
Well,
But I mean, she's stretched out right now, snoozing hard.
yeah,
so.
she's in the studio with us here, and she don't have a care in the world. Mama's right here, brother's right here, and
Got a
she's
comfy bed, which you said was donated.
Yeah, the bed that she's on now was donated by one of her social media fans.
talk about that for a second, because when you and I were setting up this interview, you said I've got just a ton of like Amazon packages or whatever coming. So I mean, people have really started pouring the love towards Strauss, right?
Oh, of course. And a lot of people wanted to give money to increase the reward for her. And I kept saying, you know what, I did increase it once from $1,500 to $2,500. But if the reward money was what was behind it, I didn't want greed to take over and
Yeah.
say, well, how long can we
Ride it out to see if they'll keep upping it.
Yeah, I kept
Yeah.
turning those down. I didn't want to do that because if it was a greed thing. And then a lot of people wanted to donate for her vet bills, and I just kept turning it down just because the world we live in today, people just are so quick to judge, like they're
Yeah.
taking advantage of the situation, and I didn't ever want that. And she's my responsibility, just like my children are. I don't expect other people to help me with,
Yeah.
My children or my pets. But people insisted so much to the point that when we went to pick her up from the vet, my sister-in-law actually started a GoFundMe because she knew we had put down a significant amount of it before we ever left. And she almost got the entire amount that her surgery cost from people giving to the GoFundMe in a day.
Yeah.
In a day.
Yeah, and so then people was like, I want to give her a gift because they were even calling to the vet wanting to put towards the balance.
Yeah.
And once it was already closed, so I had to start her a wish list on Amazon because people kept wanting to get her something, and I hated to say no.
Yeah.
And so yesterday we had 26 packages delivered.
Oh my
The
gosh.
day before, yesterday it was 6 or 7 packages. My email says I've got 7 more today. Clemson Paws donated her the whistle tracker
Yeah.
that actually keeps up with her nonstop. It kind of works like cell phone towers, so
Yeah.
even outside of Wi-Fi or Bluetooth range, it still tracks her.
Oh.
So that's what that little pink thing is there.
Incredible.
I mean, the donations have been insane, and I don't even know how to take it all in.
Yeah.
I'm just so humbled with the generosity. We started the Strauss search page. It's already got 3,000 members on it from across the country.
So for every scammer out there, for every twisted person that wants to send you on some wild goose chase, there's 10 people that's ready to pay a vet bill.
Right.
I mean, there is good in the world.
And send gifts.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
The good in the world has certainly been evident through Strauss's situation,
Yeah.
for sure.
Does she enjoy the limelight?
I think that she's enjoying.
She seems unfazed with it right now.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, our living room right now looks like it's her house, and we just live there with her.
Yeah.
But she is a queen of the world. I feel like right now, and she's definitely enjoying life for sure.
Yeah.
She's
So her
probably
surgeries
got-
and everything went well.
It did.
Right.
It did. Well, we have her follow up next week. So it's potty breaks only for right now. No real weight bearing activity. So, and she's not really trying to use that back leg, but we'll see once therapy starts.
Yeah.
What an incredible story.
She's probably got 100 pounds of just dog treats that people.
Dog treats, dog bones. Yeah.
That's so sweet.
What an incredible story. Absolutely incredible. It does give you a little bit of hope, after the outpouring of love and financial and treats and toys and all that for Strauss. But it also is a story that be aware, because everybody in this world doesn't have there's a lot of twisted folks out there.
Yeah.
That you just have to be aware of.
Right, you do.
And thank goodness your intuition said turn around that
Right.
day. And thank goodness that Strauss is in here, and we get to tell the story of Strauss.
I'm sure there was a lot of life lessons that was
definitely
taught.
Definitely. And I've said from the beginning, because of all of this, I know that we went through this and she got the attention that she got for a reason.
Yeah.
And it was, I don't know if I'll ever know the whole reason with, but I know that I feel in my heart we should do something as a result of it. So I started out with the Strauss Search Lost Pets and Founds Facebook page. It's reached people across the country. We've already found several pets by using it.
Oh.
People's been sharing the cats, dogs, all of it.
I bet it's hard to find a cat.
But I don't know what I want to do with it. There's more. I feel I just don't know what it is yet. We're still in the very beginning phases of recovery and healing. But I feel like we were made to be of influence for a reason, and so what we need to do with that.
It's kind of full circle for you to be pulled just by a picture at 1 year old to then fly across the country, and now here we are.
Right.
And
Man, 4 years in the making, and you can look back and just kind of see the stuff lined
y'all
up.
were meant to be together.
Oh, of course. Oh yeah. Most definitely.
Well, I know this was an odd request to come in and tell the story, but I'm so glad you did.
Me too.
And we had tons of people tuned in to hear this, and wish you guys nothing but the best and a speedy full recovery for Strauss.
Well, thank you. And thank you everyone listening. If you were part of helping, and all the comments, the gifts, the love, the donations.
All the prayers too.
Prayers. Oh yeah. For that, we couldn't have done it without
Right.
that. But we felt every one of them for sure.
Yeah.
Couldn't have made it without it.
Incredible. Jennifer Harrison, thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
All right.